Hi guys, Hari here, trying to do a first-person VOD this time, due to relatively popular request. I'm not really sure that this is the optimal way to do it. I don't know exactly how I should be doing it, to be precise, but I'm going to try this now, because I had some spare time today, and we'll see if it works out at least decently. In order to avoid some problems that I haven't addressed yet on my computer, there is no in-game sound. In the future, if this is a problem, if people really can't live without in-game sound, let me know, and I will try to make it so that I can add that in future versions of this, if this does in fact work. So this will be from my first-person perspective. I'm doing this about an hour after playing the game. I tried to do it sooner, but some problems arose. This is the soonest I could get it hopefully working. So anyway, this game was played at about 8:45 or 9 in the morning, so there weren't a lot of options. Once again, I just went with single draft because banning draft wasn't really a possibility. There weren't even many single draft options available, so this was kind of the best of. I had some requests to do a support video, so I wanted to go into this game playing support, as you can see from my chat in the game. So I got Soul Reaper in my options. Not a bad support hero, certainly. I kind of wanted to play Glacius or Andromeda. In retrospect, it was probably a little bit of a mistake, because in typical pub games and 2-1-2 lineups, Soul Reaper is probably a better babysitter than Andromeda, because Andromeda just doesn't have the necessary attack range to harass and lane very effectively. So that was actually probably just a mistake. I should probably have gone with Soul Reaper, although Kronos is a pretty solid carry. So I'm kind of happy having him on our team, which we wouldn't have if I'd taken Soul Reaper, so you win some, you lose some, basically. So I'm going to take Andromeda, and I want to babysit Kronos, so I'm going to go bottom lane with him, so that our 2 ranged can go top, because putting 2 ranged top is better, and having your hard carry bottom for babysit when you're on the Legion is ideal. You can read this in my landing article about why we do it that way. Again, this is more focused on execution. So we're into the game now. Again, we're going to make sure to buy all our items using hotkeys. We're getting the courier because we're in the bottom lane. I can actually talk about this for a few seconds, which is that usually you want your short lane, so Legion bottom lane, Hellborn top lane, to buy the courier, and your long lane, hard lane, to buy the wards, so that you can place the wards so that they cover your long lane, which is easier for the mid to gank. So since I'm going bottom on Legion, I'm going to get courier, and I'm going to have purple get wards, so he can place them at the top. I'll use my mouse maybe to kind of show. So by placing him there, we cover all the ganks through the middle to our top lane here, which is ideal. As opposed to if we place it here, we can still get ganked here, but it's just more difficult for the opposing team because we're closer to our tower. So that's why I'm getting courier. Other than that, I'm just picking up some regen items, fairly typical. 1 health potion, some Runes of Blight, a mana potion, and then I have about 163 left and 3 spots. So after this pause is over, which I just skipped through, I'm going to pick up just 3 minor totems, because, as I mentioned before, they're the most efficient item cost per effect wise in the game. Well, as far as, I don't know, you could argue that regen and teleports, but it's a whole different apples to oranges, I guess. So for just a basic item to have 3 minor totems is fine. Yeah, I buy 3, even though I probably won't keep them all a game, and I'm not even necessarily planning on building a power supply, once again because of the nerf. Pre-nerf, I would probably always build a power supply. So at this point, we'll kind of see where it goes. But I don't really mind having to drop or sell a minor totem, because I'm not really trying to be as efficient as possible with my gold. Anyway, let's get into what's going on in the game here. We're going to go check this rune, because there's really no reason not to, from the Legion perspective in a pub game. We could get ganked, maybe, in here. This is really annoying, actually, that this comes up every time I try to use my mouse. But anyway, we could get ganked in here, which is kind of bad, but as soon as we get to the hill, like I'm on now, we can see basically anywhere they're going to come from, essentially, unless they sneak around the back, which could happen, but once again, a pub game of this level is probably not going to. So from here, we have plenty of vision. I actually spent a second here making a little joke about his item, which I'll talk about in a second, and it actually leads to us not getting the rune, even though we probably should have, which is a huge mistake on my part. So just for future reference, being funny takes a backseat to actually doing things correctly. His item that let's talk about what's going on here, actually. So I get Comet because I hadn't gotten an item yet, or I'll talk. Anyway, we're moving in here because we had a 2-on-1. We see the Dr. Repulsor coming in from behind, so we're just going to move out so we don't get caught by them. We want to avoid Witch Slayer's stun, so we're actually going to run far down to the left here so that he can't throw a blind stun through the trees and potentially get us. And then we're going to move up the lane. As I was saying, I normally avoid getting abilities before I need them at level 1, so maybe I would have gotten Aurora if we'd just gone straight to laning. I don't really know, it depends on the situation, but given that there was likely some action that was going to happen in the forest, I decided picking up Comet would be ideal. This lane is actually really bad for us. It's 2 ranged, and again, Andromeda has terrible attack range, so basically anytime I want to get in and do any sort of harassment or denying, I'm basically putting myself in range to get harassed by both of them, which is going to happen a lot. So this is really not a good lane for us, and part of that is because of my poor choice of Andromeda for a babysitter in a dual lane. She's a great support hero, and I still think she's worth having, but this probably isn't exactly the type of lane for her, not to mention the 2 range just kind of is really hurting us. So it's definitely going to be an uphill battle. I've already used up all my Runes of Blight, and Kronos really isn't getting very good farm. Part of that, once again, has to do with the item he bought. He started by making the constructing shield. Well, anyway, I'm moving up way too far here, and I'm going to get caught by, or grabbed by Dr. Repulsor, and then stunned by Witch Slayer, and First Blooded, or Bloodlusted, which is really, really poor of me. There was no reason for me to move up that far to the right. I was basically just trying to get, I basically just wanted to be able to do some harassing while it appeared to be 1 versus 1. Because anytime that both of their heroes are in the lane, I'm not going to harass either of them at all. So I really wanted to, I just wanted to fulfill my role as a babysitter better, which I hadn't been doing, so I kind of tried to force it, and got myself killed, which the lesson would be just to always be patient. It's a bad lane, we could probably try to get a gank. Unfortunately, we can't get a gank from mid probably until he's 6, because before that he's just not going to be very effective ganking unless he gets some good rune. Still, though, dying is certainly worse than just getting out harassed in lane, so I should probably be a little more patient. We see Dr. Repulsor actually went mid. Someone probably called this missing an event in-game, or on whatever, voice in-game chat. So now we have 1-on-1. I'm actually going to be able to pressure the Witch Slayer, because now anytime that he harasses me, I can hit him right back. I'm actually moving up on him. Yeah, he uses his stun early, which is great, so we're going to stun. I really want Kronos to go on him. Kronos, for some reason, isn't leaping, actually because he doesn't have mana. So hopefully he'll get his mana in time, which he does. Now he's moving up to leap, and we're going to keep going on this guy. We actually throw out our stun right as we get stunned, and we're able to get the kill. Again, that was just 2-on-1, so we were going to apply pressure because we know we have Kronos to back us up, and we can pretty much trade blow for blow with Witch Slayer. We both have a stun that deals damage, and as long as it's just the both of us, we can both trade off attacks, auto attacks. So I have 200 gold now, and you'll notice that I selected the Courier. My first 200 gold as the support here in this easy lane should pretty much always go to buying a flying courier, so that's what I wanted to do, but it was actually en route to the guy in the middle, so I'm going to wait a second to upgrade it until after he uses it. And meanwhile, I'm just going to pull these creeps. Teal actually just asked me in voice chat if I was going to pull, and I said yes. I mean, there's not really much to say about pulling. If the lane's pushed pretty far, there's no reason not to do it, and it gives me something easy to do that doesn't require a lot of concentration, so I can make sure to remember to upgrade that courier to flying as soon as possible, which really is just extremely important. I mean, having a flying courier is so important for everyone on your team. If no one else on your team will get a flying courier, you should, even if you're not necessarily a support hero, just because it's so helpful. So here is the one time I actually click instead of using hotkeys, because I screw up and accidentally hit the wrong hotkey. And buy a regular courier instead of flying courier, so I have to sell it, and I'm already using the keys there. I missed that last hit, but I'm going to make sure to get this Minotaur, or at least I think I am, because I move in and get stunned, since anytime the Minotaur has three enemy units around him, he's going to throw out a stun, so just make sure you don't move up next to him. Here you can see I actually level up Aurora to 2 before Comet. I don't really like going the max Aurora build so much. I prefer to max Comet first, just for ganking potential. However, here my presence in the lane is so poor, as I'm typing out to Teal right now. He actually wants to go, which we'll get into in a second. But anyway, so I'm maxing out or getting Aurora level 3, to level 2 at level 3, just to give myself a little more lane presence. I'm able to harass both of them with it, and maybe if I throw an Aurora down and then we trade auto attacks, my auto attacks will be more significant because they're reduced armor and reduced damage. They're trying to move up on us a little bit. I'm just making sure to always stay outside of Witch Slayer's stun range. because there's like a little bit of delay on the time he throws the stun, so I would have been able to basically escape it or juke it ideally. Here I move up just because Teal keeps telling me to go. He said he's ready now, etc. So I move up into a forward position, and I get stunned. I throw out my Aurora, and I'm going to stun the Witch Slayer. Teal's going to jump in like he projected, but as I pointed out to him, he can't really do anything. He actually got mana drain there, which is why he didn't use his leap. Here, I know I'm going to die, so I'm going to try to run to the creeps. For some reason, they got pulled this way anyway, and Witch Slayer stun somehow misses, so I do get killed by the creeps. I should have thrown out an Aurora into him to make sure they would come to me. I didn't do that. It might have been on cooldown, but either way, I know there's no way I can escape them there, because Witch Slayer's stun has enough range that he's going to be able to hit me. So I just try to suicide into neutral creeps, and it succeeds. Here I'm probably debating what to buy. Anyway, I guess the really lesson about that situation is, if you know that something's not going to be successful no matter how much someone else wants to go, just don't. Let them learn the mistake their own way. Granted, it would have been better. Here I didn't make it to the pull time in time, so I actually threw down an Aurora to make sure that I pulled these wolves into the lane, because if I'd just gone up and auto attack pulled them, they wouldn't have gotten in time. So I used the Aurora so that we could pull them into lane, because once again the lane was pushed and pulling here was ideal. But anyway, yeah, so if a teammate wants you to do something you know it's a bad idea, just don't do it. It would have been better for me to die than him, but he could possibly have leaped out, although I guess not with the mana drain. Still, don't make mistakes because your teammates pressure you into making them. If you know it's wrong and they won't listen, just don't do it. Let them learn their mistakes their own way. So we were just saying that both the heroes from our lane just teleported out, probably because our teammates were diving. You can see Pink up top in the minimap now. So actually this means that Kronos has free farm, so I tell him that, yeah, you can farm here now. I'm actually going to swing mid and try to gank Flint. Flint's really easy to gank early on, and so I should certainly be doing that. Plus Bloodhunter, I notice, has his ultimate. It's green on this block, so we can definitely get Flint no problem, I think, as long as he doesn't back up. I'm going to take a more aggressive route here, running by the tower rather than running through the river, because I really want to get this gank. I think I should be able to survive diving through the tower, which shouldn't be a problem as long as I have yellow, so I'm just waiting for yellow to teleport at this point. As soon as I see his teleport go down on the tower, I'm going to start moving in, and hope that Flint does not back out in time. So we're just waiting for yellow's teleport at this point. We see yellow's teleport, and as soon as we see it, we start moving in. So yellow's going to come throwing out an ult on him. We see the ult. We're going to Aurora first, and then stun. We probably maybe should have stunned first. Basically, because we didn't, we took too much damage from the tower and got killed, which is kind of loose in a 2-for-1 gank against Flint. I'm not sure if I could have stunned. Maybe I should have just thrown down Aurora a second sooner before moving into the tower. Anyway, the kill is worth it, because getting Bloodhunter kill, getting Flint to death is definitely worth my death. Unfortunately, this puts me at 0-3 now, which is not really a place that I want to be. So this video tutorial is actually going to be on two things. One is playing support, and two is how to bounce back, not to get on tilt, etc. Because it's very easy to do well in the beginning and continue that. It's much more difficult to do poorly in the beginning and not basically spiral viciously downward. So we're just going to focus on keeping our head in the game, not making dumb mistakes, doing what we're supposed to do. Like you could see, even just a second there, I waited in the fountain to buy a teleport scroll or homecoming stone, when really I could have just used the courier to bring it to myself. But you could also say that I was kind of just sitting in the fountain there to clear my head, you know, get back into the game, not make dumb mistakes, like immediately teleporting to a lane that doesn't need me or something. I'm waiting to see what I can actually do to be effective here. It's clear we do need to get some more experience, because we'd really like to get level 6 for our ultimate. That's really important for ganking, so I'm just going to kind of try to leech experience while Kronos farms here. And we were going to try to bait them into ganking Kronos, but it didn't really succeed because they actually teleported top instead. You notice we're always carrying a teleport, our homecoming stone. As a support hero, there's basically nothing more important than doing this, other than maybe buying wards. You'll notice we actually don't have wards at the rune spawn, so I'm actually going to try to farm a little gold here, which is something I wouldn't normally do. You normally don't want to take the money from your teammates, especially Bloodhunter or Kronos, but I really need to get wards up, so I'm going to try to get a couple last hits here, just enough to get the wards quickly. We actually did have 2 wards, and I would have worried about getting it sooner, but the guy actually only placed 1 ward initially, and so I assumed he would place another ward at 6 minutes at the rune, because you want to place, you know, at 0 minutes and 6 minutes, so you have the rune